Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Well, today is the 24th of December. It would appear that yesterday I have launched Christmas a day earlier. Great, you're very welcome. Let's just go right into it and enjoy our second day of Pilates marathon. So my outfit for today is an elf. And obviously yesterday we had this very noisy outfit, and today there are bells attached to it. So here you go, Christmas is fun. Okay, I'm going to start you lying down on the floor. Well, actually, let's maybe start sitting. So you're going to make it comfortable. Actually, I'm going to face partially towards you, so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Think of nice and long legs. Obviously, sitting upright is feeling uncomfortable. You can place a little cushion or a block underneath your pelvis. You can also lean back with your hands a little bit. Bending your knees is an option as well. See what you can do. Okay, glasses are going. Oh, God. There you go. All you're going to do is point and flex to start with. So you're going to point your toes, really think of getting as much length as you can, and then flex, reaching through your heels. Point and reach through your toes, flex and reach through the heels. Right, so getting that bit of stretch to the front, because we don't often, unless you're a dancer, put our feet in that position. But also, achieving that full function of your calves. And then just to vary it a little bit, you're going to flex one, point the other. I think it helps that one leg is green and the other one is red. Better than right and left. And then you're going to bring it back to center. Now you're going to draw really large circles with your feet, and I want you to think of drawing those circles with your big toe, and you're making them as large as possible. Ideally, you're not actually rolling your entire leg in and out. You keep the legs fairly still and moving from the ankles. Those funny noises you're hearing, those are actually my ankle joints. And then you're going to reverse, and this time think of drawing little circles with your little toes. Okay, so those were the circles. Now you're going to flex your feet so your toes are coming towards you. You're going to turn from the ankle. There's going to be movement in the hips and the knees as well, but your focus is on your feet. You're going to turn your feet in, and you're going to touch the big toe towards the floor, and then you're going to pull them back, and you're going to turn them the other way so you can bring the little toes down towards the floor. And again, pull them back, turn from the feet, bring the big toes down, pull them back, turn, and a little bit. Keep carry on. What you're not doing is, you're not going to swipe your feet like car wipers and doing this. That's not what you're doing. You're going to keep your legs long, and you're improving mobility in your ankles. That's it. And turning in and in. You can take as much time as you can. So if it takes a little bit longer for you to do it, that's absolutely fine. It's a really, really good exercise for improving mobility of your feet and your ankles and the function of your calves, actually. Very good. Okay, then from here, you're going to bend. Oh, I have to be proper because those are tight. You're going to bend both knees, and this time, think of your knees staying still, your toes are staying connected to the floor, and you're going to swipe your feet out, and then in. Actually, it's probably better to do them in the same direction. So you swipe to the left, swipe to the right. In order for that movement to happen, the bones underneath your knees are doing some work, but you don't want your knees to be moving as well. So a little bit of isolation there. And you really want your toes to be connected again. If you're getting tight in your hips, just lean back. That's absolutely fine. Okay, now another one from the same sort of position. Keeping your toes on the floor, you're going to start lifting up from the arches and pull your toes under. Lift, open your toes, bring them down. It's like a little wave. You're going to pull everything in, your toes are curled under, and then you're going to open them wide and bring them down to the floor. Pull, open, and down. You can have your legs a little bit straighter, or maybe not, and pull. It's like, imagine there is a towel on the floor, and you're going to pull the towel with your toes and lift it, and then let it go, and landing mid-foot, and then scoop the towel again, and open up. And then you're going to reverse. So you're going to pull the toes, and you're pulling back with your toes, and then you're going to curl them under, touch down with the toes first, and then forward. Now, if this is giving you cramps in your calves, it might be that sitting on the chair would make it a little bit easier, because obviously we are in a certain position here that encourages the calves to tighten a little bit more than in any other position. Good. Lovely. Okay, now from this angle, might be a bit seen a little bit better. You're going to cross one leg over the other, and you're going to grab your foot with your hands and think of just kind of mobilizing. So you're going to turn, you're going to pull that outside part of your foot as if you wanted to turn the sole of your foot up towards the ceiling, and then the opposite way. Good. And then you're going to gently move one hand in one direction, the other in the other hand, as if you are squeezing water out of your feet. And then you're going to give it a little stretch. So you're going to pull the toes back, and then you're going to point, and then flex, and then point. Good. Now, I'm not really sure if I'll be able to do that much of that here, but you're going to place your fingers in between the toes. Because of the tight situation, I can't actually do it. So ideally, you've got your toes and fingers interlocked. You're holding on to your ankle, and you're going to circle your foot around in one direction. That's exactly that sort of stuff that elves do before Christmas. And then over to the other side. That and drinking, I guess. And then you're going to change direction one more time. Good. And again. Amazing. Okay, let's do a little bit of that on the other side. So first, a little bit of mobility. I mean, there's like 26 or what, 28 joints in each foot. That's a lot for part of the body that kind of sits in the shoes all the time. So first, we're going to do a little bit of like you're trying to lift the sole of your foot towards the ceiling, and then the other way. And then you do a little bit of ringing. All right, so there's meant to be quite a lot of movement in our feet. Good, and then you pull the toes back, and then you point and pull back and point, and then you're holding onto the ankles, you're interlocking your fingers between your toes and circle it in one direction. So you're kind of immobilizing it with your hand, the ankle. Good, and then reverse. And then bring it back to center. Okay, let's get you situated back on the mat. And you're going to Come to lie down with now your feet are nicely awake. I'm just pulling up my skirt a little bit. Perhaps starting with a few pelvic tilts just to release your back and your hips from that sitting position. Maybe think of pushing down with your feet and opening your lower back into the floor and then releasing it back into neutral. And again, pushing from your feet and releasing away. So this is your 12 to 6 and then 3 to 9. So one hip is 3, the other one is 9. And you have this small red marble rolling to your right hip, back into center, over to your left. Now you're doing that by engaging the muscles at the front of your lower abs rather than pushing through your feet. However, if it kind of feels like I'm not really sure where I'm doing it from, you can also do it from the feet. So you push with your right foot with the intention of lifting that hip up, then push with your left and push with your right. Ideally, you are between your 12 and 6, so you're not doing it from a kind of imprinted position of your lower back into the floor. You've got to lengthen it all out, keep that small natural arch under your back, and do it from there. And then adding just a few circles in each direction. So maybe imagine that you've got like a circle, a plate, or a ring of some sort underneath your pelvis. And with the rim of your pelvis, you're going around that circle. And then reverse. And then come back to center. Pressing down through the feet to lift your pelvis up in one go rather than scoop. You're going to lift your arms towards the ceiling and send them back behind you. Get a little bit of lengthening. Now, when you start to peel your spine down, think of sending your arms behind you further and further away. Soften through your chest and bone by bone. Bring your spine down towards the floor and then bring your arms to your side. Press directly down through the feet to lift your pelvis up into the bridge. Take your arms behind you. Keep lengthening with your arms. Keep going further and further away as you're releasing your spine down. And then bring your arms down to your side. Let's do that a couple more times. And lengthen your spine down, really feeling that sequential articulation. One of the Pilates principles, just alongside precision and control. And lift. Send it back. And lengthen away. Good. That feels really nice. And then bring your arms down to your sides. And then you're going to send just your left leg forward and your right arm back. And just think of sending them away from each other. Finding that bit of lengthening across your body. And bring it back to center. And again, and lengthen them away from each other. And bring them back in. And bring your leg in. Change arms, change legs. And send the opposite arm and leg away. Your head can turn away. Bring down with the leg and back. And one more time. And bring it back in. And let's bring your legs back into your bent position. Your arms are going to open out to each side. Just to apply a bit of release to your neck, I want you just to turn your head in one direction. So let's say if I'm going to the right, I'm thinking of my left shoulder sinking down towards the floor. And then bring it back. And turn again. And it may be, I'm not sure if we're going to manage to do 15 or 20 turns on each side in this class, but if you're doing it by yourself at home, really take your time with it, close your eyes, use it as a little bit of a movement meditation, because it's going to take you quite a few turns of the head to start feeling the connection of tension between your arm, shoulder, neck. And it's then when that awareness kicks in, where you're going to be able to start actually letting go of that shoulder. Usually, when you've done it 2 or 3 times and you are able to achieve that sense of awareness, then it kind of comes in automatically every time you do it, but it takes a little preparation to start with. But then you're going to go to the other side. Oh yeah, that's my tight one. So especially if you've got a particularly tight side, that one you might want to add a few extra. You're not really doing anything. Ideally, your eyes are closed because obviously, you know, eyes are muscle and the space around it is all filled with muscle. It all gets tired and it also activates muscles at the back of your head and around your ears and around your neck. So it's better to keep them closed for this kind of exercise, just to eliminate that additional tension. Good. Keep looking for that softening of the shoulder down to the floor. And then when you've done a few to each side and your hat is still on, you're going to keep your head in the center, but you're going to send your legs from side to side, still thinking of that opposite shoulder. Pull from it, pull from the belly over to the other side. Actually, it doesn't matter if you have your feet on top of each other or if you have both feet on the floor. Both are absolutely fine. Whatever is right for you at the moment. You could do a little bit of both because they feel slightly different. So here there is kind of more focus on the spine. With your feet down, there's the spine, but there's also more into the hips. So your head is in the center. Integrating your breath into it. Whatever you're working to create a new release, your breath is absolutely integral. And then together. So now this time your head and your knees are going in the same direction. And then pull back into center and over to the other side. So this is the ultimate pull on that opposite shoulder. And back into center. And over to the other side. Lovely. And then just bring everything back in. Okay, let's place your hands back by the sides of your body. We're going to go back into bridging. So you're pushing down through your feet and you're going to lift your pelvis up. So ideally, you kind of want to feel like you've got a skiing slope just here, rather than your pelvis is dropped and you've got too much extension in your lower back. So you've got to maybe think about your back being a little bit longer than your front. In this position, what you're going to do is lift your right heel up and lower down, and then lift the other one and lower down. You're aiming to keep your pelvis completely still in this position. So you're isolating the movement. And then the same from the front. So this time you're pulling your front of your foot up and lower down, and the other one. So maybe a little bit more focus on the feet today, on the ankles. And can you do the opposite? So one heel, one front of the foot. And then you're going to bring it down to the floor. Let's have a moment's rest. So you're going to lower your spine down. Good. And then when you're ready, press down to lift again. This time, your knees are staying in the center. You're going to roll to the inside of one foot and the outside of the other. And back into center, over to the other side. So you're going from side to side. Your knees are not moving with you. You're not transferring your weight. You're going to move from the ankles and the feet. So if those are tight, or they are not used to this sort of movement, just might feel like not much is happening, and that's absolutely fine. Just allow the legs, the feet and the ankles move, you know, whatever they can do. When you've done it 2 or 3 times into the future, you'll probably notice that mobility is improving. And while you're doing it, maybe noticing what's happening in your hamstrings. Can you feel something? Now, just to make it slightly different, why don't you just walk them a little bit wider and turn each to outside and then each to inside. But you're going to move your knees a little bit in and then a little bit out. Still limiting the amount of movement, but having a little bit more flexibility with it. So my hamstrings are working really tight, and I'm definitely tighter and stronger, getting a stronger feedback on my right one. However, because of my tights, I'm not feeling entirely well connected to the ground because they're quite slippery. So that might be one reason. Good, bring it back to center. Let's get the pelvis down for a second. You're going to bring your knees to your chest. So in here, maybe you're feeling already a little bit of a stretch into your hamstrings. Just take a breath in and your knees are moving away. And on an exhale, you're going to hug them in tighter. We've done that yesterday as well. So this should feel a little bit more familiar. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And let's do a few circles. I can't make them too big because yeah, my outfit doesn't allow it. And then reverse. So your hands are really leading the movement here. You're trying to let go of any tension on around your hips and keep the weight of your legs in your hands. From this position, if you just interlock your fingers over one knee and send the other leg straight, think of the back of that thigh sinking down to the floor. In the meantime, I'm going to be gently pushing my knee up into my hands and my hands down into my knee. My elbows are wide. And you're going to hold this for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. And let's do it one more time. It's not a strong pull. It's going to think like maybe 40–50% effort. So you're pushing your knee into your hands and your hands back down into your knee. Just getting that sense of the back of your pelvis, the back of your sacrum dropping down to the floor, and release. Let's bring the other knee in. Send this one away. And again, just allow, if you're not reaching, if your thigh is not touching the floor, just do that a few times. And that's usually enough to relax the leg enough to touch, to feel the back of the thigh. Okay, so pushing your knee into your hands and your hands back. And you feel the back of your pelvis kind of rounding against the floor. And then release. And one more time. And release. Lovely. Okay, let's change legs again. So you're sliding this one, and if your thigh is not touching, just give it a little encouragement until the back is down on the floor. You're going to place your hands behind this knee. You're going to flex your foot and point it up towards the ceiling. Obviously, could be somewhere there, could be somewhere there, but just do your best to lengthen. Then keep your foot flexed. Bend your knee back towards you, rather than dropping your foot, and then lengthen it up again. And soften, and reach. And bend, and reach again. and reach, hold it there. That's point, flex, so you've opened your feet and ankles today quite a lot. This should be a dodo. And if you're in one direction, if you're in the other direction. And then you're going to pull the other knee, drop this one down, hold it behind, flex your foot. This is really funny to have one leg red, the other one green. So, sorry, first we're going to the knee bend and reaching away. And reach. And then you're going to hold it straight and you're going to point and flex. And circle a few times in one direction and reverse. Perfect. Okay, let's bend both knees. Grab underneath both of them and very gradually roll yourself back into center. So you're going to roll back and back in again. Keep your spine rounded. Another one that we've done yesterday. So just improving on the technique. The rounder your back, the more pleasant the movement is going to be. If your back is straight here, you're kind of going to collapse into it in a very uncomfortable sort of way. If that's the case, you could maybe just try a little one. So you're holding either behind your knees or the front of your knees, and just think of rolling over your tailbone until you start to feel that your spine automatically wants to round to take you back and forward again. And let's do one more. Good, tiny little movement. Now, going to open your legs into this sort of position. It's kind of like a half a rocking chair, and you're holding on a little bit further down your calves, and the same movement. And rocking back. You're only rolling as far as your shoulder blades. And keep it rounded. Good. The position of your legs doesn't really change. And then bring your feet down to the floor. Let's get you to reach your arms ahead. You're going to start pulling back from the center to roll yourself down to the floor. Take your arms back behind you. Imagine you scooping water to the side. Bring your head off the floor and reach towards your toes. And then you're going to roll your spine back and scoop around and bring it forward and reach. And one more time. And scoop around. And reach, lovely. From the same position, feet are the side flexed, arms are opened out to each side. A little bit of that classical Pilates rotation. Keep lengthening through the spine, long through your fingers. You're only rotating as far as your spine is going, so it doesn't have to be a huge movement. And back. And then you're going to bring it back to center. Now you're going to open your feet, your legs a little bit wider apart. This time, I want you to think of a diagonal line behind you. So you're going to rotate towards it, but you're going to bring the other arm as well. You're going to bring both hands to the floor, lower yourself down, and with your hands, push away. And then you're going to rotate to the other side and push away. And rotate. So gradually, the first few might feel a little bit stiff, but gradually you're thinking about enough rotation so you can almost put your arms on the mat behind you and then push and rotate and push. And push. So it's a little bit more dynamic than the original one. And push away, and you're getting lots of rotation into the hips, spine, shoulders, a little bit of everything really. And push. Brilliant. From here, if you, let me try and do it in this direction. So you're going to pull one foot against the inside of your knee. And you're going to sit with your arms slightly out to the side. You're going to plant your hand to the floor. I'm not completely leaning into it, but just enough to support my side bend. And then lift back up. You can probably safely do it facing you. Put the other one in, over to the other side. And think of growing tall towards the ceiling to come back. And side bend. And grow tall towards the ceiling to come back. Bring it back in. Let's change legs. Good, and the same movement. So notice the difference. It might be one hip very different from the other. And again, if you're finding this position generally difficult, just place something underneath your pelvis to lift you up off the floor slightly. That feels good. Okay. If you bring both, I'm just coming back to the mat, but actually you're just going to find that more original mermaid position. Let's plant that hand on the floor. You're going to side bend, but then you're just going to reach that arm towards the ceiling. Now think of pulling back from your pelvis first to create rotation from there, and then you're going to thread the needle. And as you take a breath in, you're going to go into a little bit of extension. Your head is turning with your arm. Start from the pelvis, so you're kind of diving in. You curl as you thread the needle. And you take a breath in and you open, 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 open. So you carry on. I'm just going to demonstrate it from the side. I'm hoping that it's going to be quite clear. So from this position, you're going to curl from the pelvis, your spine is rounded. And as you take a breath in, you're going to go slightly beyond into extension. So really spreading those shoulders wide. And carry on again. And let's just do one more. And take a breath in, perfect. Good, and then come back to center. You're going to bring your knees on top of each other, take them over to the other side and slide apart. I'm really liking this two colored trousers going on here. Well, right. Okay, so planting your hand into the floor. First, you're going for a bit of a side stretch, and then you're going to reach your arm towards the ceiling. Start from the pelvis. You're going to thread your needle. Does it feel different? And as you take a breath in, keep going, keep going, keep lengthening, keep lengthening, keep lengthening away. And start from the pelvis. Oh, it's starting to get warm in this outfit. And again. And good, I think at least two more. And a breath in. And threading your needle. And taking a breath in, brilliant. Let's bring your legs on top of each other. So you're going to stay in the same direction. I'm just going to turn this way. You're going to bring your knees in closer towards you. Your fingers are pointing towards you. Your toes are touching the floor. You're going to send your knees to one side and reach. And bend over to the other side and reach. Bend. And you can flex or you can stay pointed. It's kind of like a can legs. You go to the side and reach, and back to the other side, reach. And let's just do 2 more on each side. In the meantime, you're kind of keeping yourself slightly in place, using your center and your arms. And reach again. And then you're going to bring your feet to the floor. Your hands are more or less in the same position. So to start with, I just want you to think of pushing down into the floor to lift yourself off. And then lower down. So tiny little movement. Pushing down, lengthening up through the arms, into the shoulders, just enough to lift your tailbone off the floor. And then release it down. Think of as little effort as possible. Creating a little bit of length through the spine. So while I'm lengthening my head and my spine towards the ceiling, gravity is pulling my tailbone down towards the floor. On the next one, you're going to lift and you're going to slide your tailbone towards back of your feet. And then from the feet, you're going to bring it back towards the hands. Have a little rest. And then you're going to lift, go forward, back, and release. So you could just carry on that way, or if you feel like you want to do a little bit more, you're going to lift, go forward, scoop your spine, bring it up into a tabletop-like position, forward, back again. And a little release. And plot your pelvis forward, lift into a table-like platform, back towards your feet. Back in, a little release. And let's do it again. You're going to carry on with just going forward and back over the left, or you're going to go back, carry on until you bring your pelvis between your arms, forward, back up. Just one more time, I promise. Back, and lift, and you're going to end with your legs straight. And that's it. So just let go of your arms. You can flip your hands upside down and just bend forward. That usually aids the release. Okay, so let's bend your legs and bring them under you, a position that we should all practice as often as possible. You're going to interlock your fingers together and just gently rotate around the wrist. So it's probably quite a welcome sensation after this exercise we've just done. Your elbows are going to stay fairly close together, so rather than being there, your elbows are somewhere near each other. And you're starting to send, you're still going around in circles, but you're going up. And then as you reverse direction, you're gradually bringing your arms down. And again, reverse. Good, and reverse. Good. And then you're going to release your arms on each side. Now, if you send your arms out to each side, you're going to turn your palms upside down. I want you to think of start with a little finger, one at a time. You're going to bring them into your hand as if you were curling your fingers in. So like a Mexican wave, one finger at a time. You're bringing it into the fist, and then you're going to turn your palms back behind you and starting with your thumb, one finger at the time, you're opening them back into a full hand again. And then you're going to turn your palms up. You can make this once. I mean, it's amazing. I can really do it on the left, actually on the right. It is quite challenging with some of the fingers. And then turn the palms up, starting from the thumbs. And then turn up. Once you've got the idea, you can create a little bit more of a fluid movement. So you're going in, and out, and in, and out, and in, and out. Yeah, you're starting to feel it. Me too. And then bring it in and just release. You're going to bring your hand behind your head, and with your other hand, you're going to grab your elbow. Keep your head still upright. So it's difficult when you've got a hat on. So you're going to get that bit of a increased stretch on your triceps, but keep yourself upright. Don't give up with having your head forward, and also mind how much extension you've got in your back. Good, and just taking it slightly to one side and bring it back in, and then you're going to let it go. Bring the other one, grab the elbow, and just notice the shoulders are kind of drifting up quite sharply towards your ears, so you're able to keep it fairly relaxed. And then just a tiny gentle pull to one side. And then bring it back in. You're going to interlock your fingers together, and you're going to turn your palms ahead of you. As your arms go forward, your back is going back. And then reach everything up towards the ceiling. And then bring the arms down, just one more, and push it away. And then up towards the ceiling, and then release it away. Brilliant. So coming onto your knees and hands. So let's start with something slightly familiar that we did yesterday. So a little bit of rocking forwards and back. So there is number of kind of benefits to just doing that very simple exercise. One of it is shoulder stability. So it's kind of teaching you, let's say, neutral position of your shoulders. So you kind of, rather than being there somewhere sunk or too overstretched, you gradually finding a position somewhere in between where it feels like you're just gliding in your joints. And if you're not sure, let's bring the shoulders over your wrist, and let's drop the chest between your shoulder blades and squeeze them together, and then push away. So your lumbar spine is not actually moving, you're isolating it to the upper spine. And push away. And drop. And push. And then from here, just soften your shoulders somewhere in between, and just see if you can do a little bit of that glide again, and if it feels any different. Now you're then going to bring your shoulders over your wrist. Now I'm going to press down into my right hand and lift my left side of the body off the ground and back. Push into the left. So I'm not just pulling my arm, I'm actively pressing down through the arm that's staying on the floor to rotate the entire upper body to one side and down, and push and down, and just one more. And this time, maybe I should demonstrate it this way somehow. This time you're going to cross your hand over your chest, so then the other way around, and you're going to bend your elbow, and you're going to rotate towards the floor, and then push back up. And rotate towards the floor as if your ear wanted to listen to the floor. Keep your weight forward over your wrists, so you're not sitting back into your feet. And push it back up. And let's change sides. Cross the other arm. And bend. And push away. Good, one more. And push away, lovely. Okay, you're going to bring both arms down to the floor. You're going to set them a little bit wider apart than your shoulders. and very tiny further forward than your shoulders. You're going to bend your elbows out to each side, and you're going to bring your chest down to the floor, and then you're going to push away. So this is how it looks from the front. If I was doing it from the side, my hands would be just outside the mat and a little bit ahead of my shoulders. And I'm going to bend my elbows, but keep my chest between my arms, and then push back and bend. So this one is a tricky little exercise. You might be feeling it at the front of the shoulders tomorrow a little bit. It doesn't seem like much when you're doing it on the day. Okay, so I'm going to turn towards you again because there is a small variation we're going to add here. So you're going to bend, and then you're going to shift from side to side and back to center and up. And make sure your knees are about hip width apart to give you more stability. So you're going to drop your chest, and you're going to shift from arm to arm, just a couple of times on each occasion. Bring it back into center and push back up. Okay, let's just do it one more time. And side. Good. And back to center and push back up. Lovely. Coming back onto your knees. This time, you're going to bring yourself a little bit to the front of your mat, so your feet are definitely anchored on the mat rather than the floor. And just let's get you to float your knees up and then lower down. So you're going to float your knees off the floor, and then you're going to lower them down. You're going to release your toes and sit back into your feet. And then you're going to bring your rounded spine forward, release it away, tuck your toes under and left. Lower the knees down, release your toes round your spine and sit back into your feet. Keep your spine rounded as you're coming up. Lengthen through the spine, tuck your toes under and left. So you could be carrying on just like that. Otherwise, you're going to go a little bit further. You're going to come forward, tuck your toes under. This time, lift the whole pelvis, drop your heels. Lift up, bring your knees down, release the toes, sit back into your feet. Keep your spine rounded, tuck your toes as the spine lengthens, push to lift, and lift on the toes, drop your knees down, release the toes, round your spine on the way back. And then keep your spine rounded as you're lifting up, tuck your toes under, push to lift. Let's hang here for a little bit. So I just want you to lower and lift from the heels here. Just take a moment to kind of feel that lengthening into the back of your legs, lengthening into the back of your shoulders. You can have your feet a bit closer together or a little bit further apart, whatever feels more comfortable. And keep the idea in mind of lengthening your sitting bones away from you. And then you can do the same, kind of walking in place. And then you're going to lower, lift, bring your knees to the floor and sit back. And let's just hang in here. If your head is not reaching the floor and this feels uncomfortable, you can bring your hands back towards you, elbows wide, create two fists, one on top of each other, and just rest your head on top of those fists. And just take a moment to allow your body to release and relax. Otherwise, if your arms are still ahead of you, you're going to walk both hands to the left, place your right hand on top of your left, and you're going to rest your hand into your right arm, sorry, your head into your right arm. And take a nice 3 deep breaths into that open side of the body. And then when you're ready, walk into center, over to the other side. So this time you're putting your left hand on top of your right one. Your head is resting into your left side. And then bring it back to center. Okay, so your wrists should be a little bit rested by now. I'm going to get you to come back into, onto your knees and hands. Now, if you think about that movement that we started this part with, when you're going to rock your body forwards and back, this time, as you're rocking your body forwards, you're going to bring one knee with you. You're going to cross your foot over the knee, and you're going to sit back into your hips. And then you're going to rock forward. You're going to take that leg back into place. And then you're going to rock forward, bring the other leg forward, cross your foot over the knee, sit back into your hips. And then you're going to go forward and place it back in place. Just carry on. I'm just going to turn around just in case this is going to be any more visible this way. I'm not really sure if it is in this outfit actually. So you're going forward, crossing the leg over, sitting back into the hips, forward and back, forward, cross over, forward and bring it back. Good. Let's do another couple on each side. And cross it over, forward and back. And the last one on each side. And back into center. Lovely. Now from here, you're just going to lie down on your front. Let's bring your hands underneath your forehead. Then just take a moment so your legs are going to kind of open apart a little bit. And you're just going to rock your pelvis from side to side, finding that balance between your right and left hip. Good, and then when you're ready, bring it back into center. And you're going to tilt your pelvis back, so your pubic bone is pushing down into the ground, your lower back is lifting up, and then release it away. And again, tilt your pelvis under. I mean, how often do you see an elf doing Pilates? I'm loving it. And tilt. The tights are brilliant. And tilt. And lower down. Good. So my head is just lifted off the floor because obviously I've got the mic here, so I'm trying not to squeeze on it too much, but you can keep your head down on your arms. Now from the same position, if you think of the balance of the hips from right to left, without dropping the hip into the floor, you're going to engage your hamstring and your glute and lift one leg up and then lower it down. It's just a bit of lengthening. Really, it's not about how high you can lift the leg. It's more about the idea of actually lifting it up from the hip, finding that hip extension just here. So I'm not going to bend my knee and lift. I'm definitely lengthening all the way from the hip and then lower down. And then you can stretch out your arms in front of you. This one is a lot more comfortable when you're in a small extension, and you're going to lift the opposite arm and the leg and lower down. And the opposite arm and the leg. So we did some of that on your knees and hands yesterday when you were sending that opposite arm and the leg. Today, just a slightly different application. Keep looking down at the floor. The back of your neck is long, but your head is not dropped. So keep it in line with your spine. Now you could carry on just like that. Otherwise, you're going to lift both arms and both legs And you're going to go for a little bit of swimming. Tiny little movements, like if you're tapping water with your hands and your feet, but your center is completely stable in between. And you're going to carry on and just think of a number. Let's make it another 20, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. Very good. This time you're going to bring your arms down to your sides. So you've got that lovely arrow-like shaped body. So you're starting with your forehead on the floor. You're going to just lift into that small little extension. Lift your arms just above your body. Lengthen through your toes. And lift your legs off the floor. And release it down. And inhale as you lift into your extension. Exhale as you release it down. Inhale to lift into your extension. Exhale as you release it down. Now, can you reverse? Reverse your breath. Can you take a breath in to prepare and exhale to lift? Is that more comfortable or less comfortable? And release. Take a breath in to prepare and exhale as you lift. So I find that, taking a breath in as you go into extension feels a lot better. So you inhale to lift and exhale to release. And just last one, inhale and exhale to release. Lovely. Okay, so from this position, you're going to push yourself back on your feet. Let's just get a bit of a stretch into your lower back. And taking nice deep breaths into the back of your pelvis, into your lower back. Into the back of your shoulders. You're going to come forward and let's get you lying down on your side. So because we don't have cushions, you're going to rest your head on top of your arm and we're going to go for round the world instead of open book. So you're going to reach this arm forward and you're going to roll ahead as if you were trying to touch the wall to your right in front of you. And then your hand is just floating off the ground. Keep your knees together, but circle your arm around the world. And then slide to the side of your thighs and start again. Good. That feels good. Just opening those shoulders, rotating the spine. And again, use your breath to encourage more release. Good. Let's reverse for 2. So you're going to take your arm down and around first. Okay, the hat is all over the floor. And back again. I'm just holding my hat with my hand rather than resting on it. And back. Good. And on the last one, you're going to bring your hand in front of you. So your head might be kind of in a little bit of a funny position, but by the time you open the arm behind you and turn your head, it should even out and just stay there in this position for a little bit. Think of your fingers left, right to left hand. And then in this position, turn your head to the right, turn your head to the left. I'm not going to do it because my mic is being very squashed. Actually, okay, I can do it that way. So you're just going to turn your head from side to side a few times and then bring it back ahead of you. And you're going to push yourself back up, change to the other side. So you're going to rest your head on your arm, your knees are bent, So you've got that chair-like position here. You're going to reach the arm straight ahead of you and circle around. And as always, noticing the differences from side to side. Maybe by now it just doesn't feel quite as obvious as it did the first time round. Good, and 3. And 4. And then let's reverse. And then your arms are going to end up more in front of you, your head slightly uncomfortable to start with, but then you're going to open your arms wide and head should feel just supported by the floor. And you're going to turn your head from side to side. Really don't push and pull, just a small rotation from side to side. The shoulders are still tight. This might kind of give you all sorts of strange feedback. And then you're going to bring your arms on top of each other and let's push back again. This time, you're going to just cross your legs in front of you. Slide your hands ahead. And take a moment to take a few breaths into the back of your pelvis. And on exhale, inch your fingers a little bit further forward. And another deep breath. And inch forward. And then from your center, pull back in and change the way you've crossed your legs. Hands in front of you this time, rather than what we did yesterday. And you're just going to inch forward. Just notice that discomfort in the hips, having the legs crossed the other way around. And a nice deep breath into the back of your shoulders and pelvis and inch your fingers forward. If it feels wonky in your hips, like I can feel that maybe one of my sitting bones is sitting heavier down on the floor than the other, you're just intrinsically trying to even them out. And then exhale, inch forward. And then pull back. Now from this position, you're going to push yourself over your knees to come onto your knees and hands. Tuck your toes under and push yourself on your feet. So another familiar movement from yesterday. And let's just rock forward and back over the ball of your feet. And then when you're ready, you're going to hang back into your heels. So you're almost trying to drop your heels into the floor, but not quite. Possibly getting some stretch into the back of your calves, maybe into your lower back, maybe into your shoulders. And let the head relax on your shoulders. You're going to take a breath, lower your heels down, and stretch the legs up. And when you're ready, you're starting to restack your spine over your pelvis, over your legs. Cross your arms, take a deep breath in, lift your chest towards the ceiling, and then lower your arms and roll your spine down back towards the floor. Deep breath in, starting to roll the spine back up. Cross your arms in front of you. And a deep breath. And just soften your arms down to each side. Lovely. Well done. And thank you very much for joining me for day 2 of our Pilates Marathon. And I shall see you tomorrow. Today is Christmas Eve. So today enjoy your family if you're meeting them. Take care. Bye-bye.